Don't you dare walk away from me! Not after what you just let me do to you!
The words slithered through the crack in Professor Yoon's office door, low and intimate and just loud enough for Beatrice Ademola to freeze 3 steps down the hall. One hand still braced against the cold stone wall of the east wing, her breath catching somewhere between her throat and her chest. She shouldn't be here. No one should be here. The building locked at 9. Faculty offices dark except for that one sliver of amber light bleeding onto marble floors polished to a mirror shine. But she'd left her research notes, the ones due tomorrow for her thesis defense. And now she was trapped in the space between leaving and listening, her heart a fist pounding against her ribs. Inside, someone laughed, breathy, ragged, the kind of sound that made you feel like a voyeur just for hearing it.
You think this changes anything? You think because you...
I think you wanted this as badly as I did, and I think you'll come back.
Silence. Then footsteps. Beatrice ran. Welcome to Afro-Korean Soul Romance. Stick with me. Like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. This gets messy, sexy, and completely unhinged. You've been warned. She made it to the library annex before her lungs forced her to stop, pressing her back against a bookshelf in the African literature section. Ironic, she thought wildly, that she'd found sanctuary among the few authors who looked like her in this sprawling temple of Korean intellectual elitism. Seoul National University's Department of Comparative Literature was housed in a building that looked like it had been designed by someone who wanted learning to feel like punishment. Vaulted ceilings that swallowed sound, narrow windows that let in light like grudges, and everywhere the smell of old paper and older money. She'd been here 3 months. 3 months since her exchange scholarship had dropped her into this pressure cooker of brilliant, beautiful, ruthlessly ambitious students who moved through the world like they'd been born knowing exactly how much space they were allowed to take up. 3 months of being stared at in every room she entered. Not cruelly, usually, but with the kind of fascinated intensity usually reserved for exotic animals in zoos. 3 months, and she'd already managed to become the center of something she didn't understand. It started innocently enough. Kim Juno had offered to share his notes after she'd missed a lecture on post-colonial theory, sat too close in the coffee shop, let his knee press against hers under the table, smiled like he knew exactly what he was doing. Then Lee Jun had invited her to his family's restaurant, insisted on teaching her to use chopsticks properly, his hand wrapped around hers for far longer than necessary, while his friends watched with expressions she couldn't read. Han Seo, the department's golden boy, had started appearing wherever she was. Library, courtyard, even the small Nigerian restaurant off campus where she went when she needed to remember what home tasted like. Always with some excuse, always leaving her with the sensation of being studied rather than seen. But it was Professor Yoon Mi-ho who'd made everything dangerous. He called her into his office 2 weeks ago to discuss her thesis proposal on Achebe and post-colonial identity, and somehow the conversation had slipped sideways into something else entirely. The way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention, the careful way he never quite touched her while managing to make her skin feel like it was burning, the slow-building tension that crackled in the air between them like static before a storm. He was young for a professor, 32, with the kind of face that belonged in dramas and the kind of reputation that suggested he knew it. Rumors followed him like perfume. Affairs with students, favoritism, a wife in Gangnam who looked the other way as long as the family name stayed pristine. Beatrice had told herself she wouldn't be stupid, wouldn't be another cliché, and then yesterday he'd asked her to dinner. Just dinner. To discuss your work, he'd said. But his eyes had said liar and so had hers. She hadn't gone. Had texted some excuse about feeling ill. Spent the evening in her tiny dorm room trying to convince herself she'd made the right choice. That the disappointment sitting heavy in her chest was relief in disguise. But someone had gone to his office tonight. Someone had let him do something. Someone had laughed in that ruined, wanting way. You look like you've seen a ghost. Beatrice jumped, nearly knocking over the stack of books balanced on the shelf beside her. Lee Jun stood at the end of the aisle, hands in the pockets of his perfectly tailored black coat, expression hovering somewhere between amused and concerned. He was tall, lean, with the kind of casual elegance that came from generations of wealth, and the bone structure that suggested his family tree had been very carefully curated. I'm fine, she managed. Just studying. His gaze dropped to her empty hands. Without books. I was just leaving. Alone? This late. He moved closer, and she caught the scent of expensive cologne and something underneath it. Something warmer. Let me walk you back to your dorm. These old buildings have a way of eating people after dark. It should have sounded ridiculous. Instead, it sounded like a warning. They walked in silence through corridors lined with portraits of distinguished alumni. Rows of serious faces, mostly men, mostly decades dead, all watching with the same expression of vague disappointment. Beatrice's footsteps echoed too loud. June moved like a cat, soundless and sure. You should be careful, he said finally, when they'd reached the courtyard where moonlight turned the central fountain silver. Seoul National has a way of destroying people who don't understand the rules. What rules? He stopped walking, turned to face her fully. In the moonlight, his features looked sharper, almost predatory. That's the problem. No one tells you until you've already broken them. Is that a threat? It's a warning. There's a difference. His hand came up, hovered near her cheek without quite touching. People are watching you, Beatrice. People with investments. And when people like that start paying attention, it usually doesn't end well for the object of fascination. Her pulse jumped. People like who? But he was already stepping back, smile sliding into place like a mask. I'll see you in class tomorrow. Try to get some sleep. You'll need your energy. He left her standing there, heart racing, mind spinning through possibilities like cards in a deck she couldn't read. She didn't see the phone camera pointed at her from the third-floor window. Didn't know that Professor Yoon was watching the footage already, jaw tight, while the woman from his office stood behind him with her hand on his shoulder and murder in her eyes. Didn't know that Han Seo had just received a message containing a single photograph. Beatrice and June, too close, framed by moonlight, with a caption that read, "Told you she's playing all of you." Didn't know that Kim Juno had spent the last 3 hours sitting outside her dorm, waiting, with a confession and a knife both burning holes in his pocket. Didn't know that tomorrow morning, when she walked into her thesis defense, every single person in that room would be carrying a different piece of the truth. And none of them matched. Welcome to Afro-Korean Soul Romance. Stick with me. Like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for more of this.